I remember in first year of priesthood, when you come into a parish, it was here for me, you're trying to figure out what ministry you're supposed to be part of. And leading up to seminary, I did a lot of work with youth. I was a teacher, I coached, and even did a lot of youth ministry while in seminary too. And so, and thought that I was successful at it, And so, but when I remember coming here and just feeling like, when I started doing youth ministry, just feeling like I wasn't being as successful as what I thought I would be. It was getting pretty frustrating because, all those, because I was thinking, it's something I thought would be a good thing for me. But it just wasn't able to make those connections that I used to make. I had two realizations. Number one, I'm now father, than previously. But secondly, it was just like, I just had to take a step and think, what's wrong here? So I remember after another night of youth ministry and just really I'm feeling frustrated. I remember coming into church and kneeling right over there. And, in my mind thinking, I'm kneeling down so God will hear me, And my prayer was this: Lord, it's not how I want it. And as soon as I prayed that, I heard a little voice say, it's not what you want, but what I want. So I had to go back and pray a little bit more. Think, what am I supposed to do? I remember next thing, a little while later, I read a book called Jesus and the Jewish Roots of the Eucharist. And was just blown away by it. It's an amazing book. I was like, I have to share this. And just started down these book studies that I did for about 2.5 years. The first one had about 50 at it. The next one had about 100. By the time, after 2.5 years later, we had 250 people going through these book studies. One in the morning, like one in the afternoon, one in the evening time. And I thought, well, maybe that's where the good Lord was asking me to put out into the deep, besides being a priest and doing in sacraments and all those things too, But the thing is this, I had to think about it because as I read our gospel today, we have Peter. Peter who is fishing. And I've always wondered how good of a fisherman Peter actually was, because whenever we see him, he's not catching any fish. But the thing is this, is that, but every time Jesus comes, he's there, and he tells them what to do, and the catch is amazing. Every time. So it's really, so it made me think about, Peter is there. He's trying to fish, and Jesus keeps telling him where to go. And so, and Jesus didn't ask the permission of Peter to walk into his boat. He just did it. The same way that Jesus is always in our boat. Doesn't ask for our permission. He's just there. The other thing too, we need to remember too, it's like sometimes we can kind of feel like Peter at times, because how many times we had to re-pray, rethink what to do. I don't know what to do here. And we had to maybe redo some things in our life. The lesson we learned from Peter is this. Peter wasn't standing on the shore waiting to figure it out. He was doing something. It's a great lesson for us. Whenever we're trying to figure out what we're called to do or we're supposed to do, we can be like Peter and just try something. Because there's a lot of times we want to pray about it and wait about it and wait to hear what's the words God has for us. And we'll be waiting for quite a while. Because the thing is this, God can work however he works, but he wants to work through us. He's waiting for us to try something. Because in our prayer times, maybe it's not, God, what should I do? Maybe it's, what's that thing that I'm feeling inspired about right now? What's that thing I feel like I'm being drawn toward? What's that thing I felt like I've always wanted to do this, but never really taken that step yet? Maybe that's the prompting. And I think when we think about it that way, we think about what's that thing that I feel like there's for me right now. Just try something. Because God will bless it and God will grow it. Peter wasn't waiting on the shoreline. He was out in the boat, trying to figure it out, trying to fit, and Jesus was there. Jesus is always in our boat, waiting for us to do something. You know, because I think when we think about it that way, we think about how God, again, Jesus wants to work through us. But there are a lot of times we think about success. What should success look like? And we get bogged down with what we think success actually is. And we tell God what we think successful is, instead of listening to God and trying to figure that out too. Because, again, it's not about what we think is success, because God will take what we do and bless it and grow it. I remember my second year of priesthood, I was trying to do some young adult work. And I remember I had all these things planned out, had this nice event happening, and it had one person show up. And so this guy shows up, and I'm talking to the guy. He goes, so I'm like, what are you hoping to get out of this? He goes, I'm just here to meet girls. I'm thinking, it was a great night, you know? But it started other conversations, started other things. Just try something. You know, many times we wonder, what should we do? We think about things. It's like, well, maybe I haven't prayed my rosary in a long time. I want to get back into that. I feel like just try it. Just do it. I've heard about these Father Mike Schmidt's podcasts, the Bible in a year, Rosary in a year. If you feel called to it, just try it. See what happens. Or, it's been a while since I've helped out in my parish. I feel like I'm being called to go back to it again. Just try it. We'll help you find a place. Or maybe it's, I heard about this rescue project. Or, maybe I should try that. Or I've been through it, and now I need to tell people about it. Or start my own. Just try it. We have a men's fellowship coming up here for pretty soon. Women's retreat coming up here pretty soon. Or maybe you're thinking, I feel like I'm being called to serve doing X, Y, or Z. Just try it. Just do it. Or maybe there's one of those where, I think my family, I want to get my family praying more, at least once a week or maybe every day. Just try it. God will bless it. God will grow it. We may not see the fruits right now, but God will take it, and God will bless it, and God will grow it. Just try something. God is waiting for us to just try something, to work through us. What's amazing is this: the more of us that are just trying to do something, the more that God will work through all of us. He's not asking us to have all the answers. He's asking us to trust him. And I'm not going to check up on you in a week and ask you, what are you trying to do? But I will ask you this. Maybe if you're trying something, maybe shoot me an email. If you see me at Kroger's with my hat over my eyes, maybe tell me then. Or shoot an email to one of us. Or maybe just if you see me walking out and about, hey, Father, I'm thinking about this. Great, just try it. Because the more we do that, the more we're allowing God to work through us. And he wants to work through us. And he's waiting for us to just try something.